Welcome to Arsenal Fan Circle, the Thursday Night Forum. We are back. This will be the Champions League Thursday Night Forum pretty soon in a number of weeks. So, looking forward to that. A little matter of preseason to get into, though, first and foremost. And listen, it's a little bit eye-opening when you think on Sunday, 2 weeks on Sunday, we'll be playing Manchester City in the curtain raiser, the annual curtain raiser of the season. So
it's not a curtain raiser; it's a friendly, right?
Well, listen, the traditional folks will say that's a curtain raiser. Stan, back me up here.
Yeah, I mean that's what they traditionally call the Charity Shield. It's known as in the UK as the curtain raiser to the season.
So, facts, Tony. Facts.
Not facts.
Yeah, Stan, do you value the Charity Shield when that comes up, the Community Shield?
Well, yeah, if my team is in it, obviously I want to watch it. Because we're coming through the summer. We're starved of football. Not everyone can get to see some of the friendlies. Not all friendlies are shown or easily accessible. So yeah, it's one you want to watch, and it's a game that I take seriously. And if my team is in it, I want to win that. I count it as a trophy or a plate or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It goes into the record books, and it's a small achievement.
Yep. And I know Gary wants to win it, that's for sure as well. It's a trophy on the line. It may be one of the minor trophies of the other four we're going for. But, it sets down a marker, Gary, for the season against City.
Yep. As you said, it starts off the season. You want to start it off with a win. So why not whatever you get a chance to win that. So, yeah, I say, as you know me, I try to think we're going to try to win every match we can, right? Every game we play.
Exactly. Yeah.
So why not that one?
I'm going to take it easy on Tony tonight because he hasn't been feeling well. But Tony, you're being voted 3-1 here. It means something.
But Ray, if City didn't win with treble, we would not be in it.
True, but we are in it, and
they did win the treble.
Yeah, so what's your point?
That's the rules, Tony.
How do they break that down? Do they just say the second place team plays?
They put the rules in. It's called rules,
the rule,
Tony.
Yeah. They can't play themselves, can they?
I'm trying to understand the rules.
All right, Stan.
Normally, we would not be in it.
That's almost like saying, why can't you use your hands in football? Because they decided it's not.
It's FA Cup winner versus league winners.
Yeah.
Yes, but they can't play themselves.
And if you win both, then the rule is that you play the second place winner in the league, which we are. Yeah. So that's it. No anomaly. Arsenal have won doubles, right? We've won doubles. We couldn't play ourselves, so we played the team that came second to us.
Exactly. There has been a precedent here. Arsenal have won the league, albeit 20 years ago, and the FA Cup in that time as well. The double has been done. BX Gunner, evening, everyone. No more Thursday night Pee Wee leagues, only prime time. Exactly. Right? We're going to hear the tunes on Tuesday and Wednesday. You know what I mean? Across the pond, Sports Talk, welcome. Big ups, American Gooners from We the North Gooners, LOL. And looking into next season, we're going to have to perform pretty well up the north this coming season at Man United, at Man City, at Anfield. Place like that, Stan. We're going to have to go north of the wall. That's what I like to call it, north of the wall. Little Game of Thrones reference there. But we're going to have to pick up our results there, Stan.
Yeah, we did it last year.
Mm-hmm.
We managed to pick up results last year. It was games that we sort of should have won where we had the trouble and let us down last year. And that's the area that needs to be fixed.
Last year, Liverpool versus City was a hard-fought game to kick off. Yeah. Look, both teams are going to arrive at that Community Shield in tip-top condition. And I thought yesterday's game, notwithstanding, Arsenal got a lot of energy and a lot of legs were running around for Arsenal. So, Stan, first thing I want to talk about is that waist strip. And
Oh yeah.
This is the away strip from last season. I like this one. What do you think of that away strip?
The one that you're wearing, for example, I really like that. I really like that one. There's one thing on it that I wish they would have done, and that is the stripes on the shoulders. I wish they were also in gold. If they were in gold as well, that top would be a 10.
I thought you'd want the trefoil too, the original Adidas logo.
The what? Sorry.
Trefoil is what they call it. The original Adidas logo.
Okay, I didn't know that. But the one that they were wearing yesterday, I mean, it's not for me. It kind of looks better when it's on and they're playing in it, but I couldn't see myself, I traditionally wear football tops if I'm popping down the shop, so it's really hot weather and I want to wear some cargo shorts, holiday or whatever, on the beach. I couldn't see myself wearing that with a pair of cargo pants and some trainers. I just couldn't see myself wearing it. But what I would say is that I remember when the Bruce Banana came out and it wasn't an immediate hit. I never liked it back in the time. And I know a lot of other people that didn't really fancy it as a top. However, it did grow on me over the years, and I do have an original one now. But I don't see this one, to be fair, ever growing on me at all. It's not one for me.
Yeah. Gary, what's your thoughts on...
Maybe if they'd done the numbers in black as well, and the badge, is blue. The blue doesn't seem to fit with it.
Yeah.
So,
it's a very
the blue
bright,
looked a different color than what it looked like on the other images. It looked darker. So I don't know if that's the Arsenal blue or
I don't know. I think
Premier League blue.
I think Arsenal missed a beat in the actual design of the away strip, and of course, winning will cure all, Gary. But what were your thoughts on the away strip? That blue, yellow, lime. Turn the lights off and you're still glowing in the dark. Think you're on. We can't hear you, just so you know. Just check your connections there.
Sorry, I forgot.
All right.
These headphones have I can mute it by turning the mouthpiece up. So, but yeah, no. Somebody's playing a joke on us, and Arsenal fell for it.
Mm-hmm.
How about we just make the worst looking shirt and see if somebody will go with it? And Arsenal said yes. So,
there's certain.
They said it's a sucker born every minute. Yeah,
and yet we will see them in the stadium. We will see them in the stadium just because people want to support it a little bit.
Alonso's buying one, so there's one sale.
Yeah,
we will see him on the circle as well. Alonso will don that.
Yes.
If I had the money, I would buy one. But
there you go. See,
that's what. If you want, just go work on the road. The highway people that work on the road, and to pick up trash and all that, they have the same shirt. You don't. It's not going to cost you, and they're going to pay you for it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
When I look at that top, the first thing that I don't know why, but when I see it, the first sort of thing that pops into my head is Africa, and I think it's because the stripes remind me of zebras.
Mm-hmm.
Zebra kind of a pattern.
Yeah.
So that's what it reminds me of when I see it for some reason.
Yeah, definitely. Across the pond said, we rocked Rooney, of course. Arteta way too smart for that nemesis of ours. Arsenal 2-0 all-time versus the All-Stars. Listen, has to be said, it was the All-Stars, so we'll take it in context here. But we did put 5 past them as well, and a lot of our players got on the score sheet. Let's see what else we got up here. That black and gold Brilliance jersey too. This crazy tennis ball jersey. But man, it is science. As Odegaard did not even look up and sent through Martinelli. Peripheral vision with these. Yeah, we're going to talk about all the goals as well. There we go. We the North, Canada. Sorry, Canadian Gunner here, and name is Moss. All right, welcome to the show, Moss.
I've seen Moss quite a few times on Harry's channel. I didn't know you was from Canada. Whereabouts are you from, Moss? I'm in Vancouver.
It's always nice to have people check in with us as well.
Fellow Canuck for Stan.
Tonight, Women's World Cup I'm doing, but tomorrow the Messi debut versus Cruz Azul and the Man United match on Saturday, of course. To all welcome. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Irish ladies did not get a result this morning. They lost 1-0. It looks surprisingly better in long sleeves. Yeah. So, Stan, what did you think of the criticism of Havertz in particular from the skills segment of Tuesday night?
I saw bits and pieces of it. I went to look for it on YouTube, and I did see that he didn't really score any points in that particular game that they were playing. But I mean, another way of looking at it is look how good Kivior and Timber did, which is not really something that you would think would be part of a skill set for people in the defensive role, but they've done exceptionally well. But, you know, as bad as he may have done in the game, it's more important for me of how he does in a game scenario, you know, as in a proper football match.
Yeah.
Not playing, you know, sideshow games and that sort of thing. It's nice and all of that, but...
And with that being said, it was nice that he was able to get the fifth goal last night as well, to actually score a goal in a friendly. What did you guys think of the younger players, Marquinhos, Vieira, Timber, and Balogun? So Stan, Gary, you can take Havertz and the overreaction to the skills part of the DC match. And then Havertz scoring the fifth goal last night.
I guess one day, as you said, we won. So we won the competition. So it wasn't all that. But I don't, you know, I get paid too much into that. And I don't even know if they're making money off of it or not. But it means nothing. I mean,
No,
it was. It's not something you know. England football does. They don't have these types of things. So. It was cool to be able to do it. And you can see, I mean, the fact that they won it meant that they had the better skills in reality. And what is it? I think, Havertz had the best score on one of the events anyways. So, you know, he redeemed himself and then he finished it off with a nice half volley in the game. So to show that he's got the skills. So yeah, doesn't mean anything really. And truly, it was just supposed to be fun. And people are taking it as you know, how things are going to pan out in a game that's across the pond. So, yeah, no, I think you know,
the red alert Gooners. That's probably what we're going to call them this season. The ones who are going to feel outraged if we drop any points at all. Man United away is even worse than ours. LOL. Adidas dropped the ball big time. Yeah, we had a great opportunity, Stan, with Rice, Timber, Havertz, all the signings, everything we've been doing really well, and then we bring out this away strip. I'm not going to linger too long on the away strip.
For our marketing team, whoever approved that, no, come on, seriously.
Everything was going so well, Gary.
I mean, you know what it is they got us. They got us.
Like, they only got you if you buy one.
No, well, they got us because people are buying it, right? So. And as a whole, the fan base is out there, and some of them are buying those tops. So they got you hooked. You're gonna buy one of three, if not all three. I think some people buy all three of the jerseys, no matter what.
Yeah.
So they, you know, they got you. So why spend so much effort getting the colors and the style of shirt right if people are just gonna buy it anyways, right? That's what happened. So. They got you, and now they don't even have to make their away the third jersey proper. You know, they can't really screw up the home because it's always gonna be red, right? But otherwise, they got you, they got us, or not really us, but those who want to buy. But as a fan base, and I think all fan bases, somebody's gonna buy the top. So,
yeah. Number 520 across the pond. Thanks for joining. Really do appreciate that. Glad Kai scored. He needs his confidence raised. That's the thing, Stan. Listen, we can look at Rice, we can look at Timber, and now they would be pretty decent going into the season. But Havertz needed to have a goal, raise his confidence, and maybe stop some people talking about him at least until the season starts.
I just think that you look at the position that Havertz is going to be playing in. I think that he's going to be the player where there's going to be more speculation and more analysis at looking at him, because he plays in a position where you're going to be looking for an end product, whether it's goals, assists, putting players through, not making mistakes in the final third. So he's going to be under the scrutiny, and obviously because of the amount of money that we're paying him, how much it cost him the transfer. For me, anyway, I think from the ones that we've brought in, he's the one that I'm sort of like more intrigued about seeing how it pans out.
Yep. And we have taken a lot of money, a big down payment of 65 million on him. I like Marquinhos a lot. He deserves some games, says BX Gunner. Marquinhos gives me a lot of Brazilian vibes, of Alexis vibes. And Gary, this squad we have now on the East Coast here, going to go to the West Coast later in the week. It's going to get trimmed down. Some players are going to get moved on. Some players are going to get loaned out. And Marquinhos could be one of them, but at least he's making his case.
Yeah, no, he looked comfortable out there, but of course it was the MLS All-Star, so it's not really a good barometer. But you want to see them when they do look, they have an advantage on a player, on a team. They should take it. So, and they look good. I mean, Trusty looked good. I mean, they all look good, but we don't have space for them. I mean, think about it. Emil Fro and Partey weren't even here. So that's 2 players out of I think all 22 spots. We had 22 players play, and Holding, the Cozier, Dewberry, and Renarson didn't play. So we expect at least 2 of those players probably to be gone and 1 to go back to the academy. So I thought Dewberry should have gotten into this match. I mean, you're up 4-0, 5-0, whatever it is. Yeah. You brought him all this way. You're probably not going to put him in the next 2. You're playing Manchester United and Barcelona. I can't see him having an opportunity to play in that. Those games will be a lot more competitive. This was more of a glorified practice. I mean, you did all that stuff for Nathan Nwari. This is why wouldn't you give him this? Give him a couple minutes in this one. I mean, it was a little weird that we didn't do that. You take him on the trip, and then the one opportunity I think he's going to get is gone. So, but otherwise, we looked good. I mean, we should have been up 5-0 at the first half. I mean, we kind of missed some opportunities to attack, missed some shots in that first half. So 5-0 is a good score, but we pretty much dominated it like we should.
Across the pond side, like we scored big with this black and gold. Should have just redid it, added Champions League patch. I've been saying put gold on the shoulder stripes, just like Stan said there, and re-release instead of this second kit abomination, as it's all about making money, right? I mean, the kits. I think it's kind of disgraceful, the price of the kits now. It's really gotten.
I don't even think really that you need to change them every season. I know why they do it, but I don't think it's really, a justified thing unless you change your sponsor. Maybe every few years or something. I mean, I don't even really like the green one, to be honest. There's a green one as well. Never really liked green. But there is a black goalkeeper one that looks pretty good that I've seen. I don't know if it's a goalkeeper's top or a training goalkeeper's top, but it's in black as well. And I think it's black and silver.
Stan, what do you think of the formation here across the pond? Saying Kai played 8 yesterday. He's played attacking mid with Erdegaard and played a false 9 towards the end. He's going to move around depending on who's playing and during matches. Arteta's smart.
Yeah, it might mean that people have been saying that, we don't really have a plan B. But we now have, we seem to be bringing in players that are comfortable in a number of positions. And I think somebody like Kai Havertz isn't a player that's only wedded to one role, just a bit like Trossard. Trossard's a little bit similar in the same vein. Looks comfortable really anywhere that you deploy him. And it's going to allow Mikel Arteta to have more variety. There'll be times where we might need somebody with his height playing through the middle. There may be times when we use him as a false 9 when we've got runners either side of him. It just gives us a little bit more variety, and I think we're going to see him in the midfield as well. It was interesting, I thought, with Trossard, who is sometimes really thought of as a wide player. You see that now 2 times in the row that Mikkel seems to be using him more on the inside, where I think he looks a lot more comfortable in a more inside position rather than being out on the wings. And when he gets on the ball, as you can see, if he's given any space of time at all, he will go for the shot, which is nice. We've had players in the past that they get in those positions and then they're in 2 minds of what to do. Am I taking the shot? Am I going to play someone in? And by the time you've made that hesitation, the ball's been nicked off of your feet, and now the play's going back the other way.
Yeah, definitely. Gary Trossard left 8. Stan said now 2 games running, Nuremberg and this MLS game.
Yeah, he just needs to show what he can do. I mean, I don't care where he plays. I mean, as far as he's had pretty much a pretty poor last 3 years, so he needs to, if Arteta can get something out of him, that would be a plus. I mean, they spent a lot of money on him, so hopefully they have a really good plan for him. So yeah, wherever they can get the best out of him, I always say, the manager's got to put the players in the best opportunities to succeed, and he needs that. He needs that. I mean, it also will add some more fuel to the fire, because then that means we have taken what Chelsea couldn't do and get something out of one of their players. And as much as they think they took a lot of money from us, which they did, if we're able to get a large number of goals from him, that'd be all the better for us. So he looks comfortable. He looks cool out there. Looks good out there. So hopefully we get, like I said, we just get the best out of him, and it should be fun to see how it all pans out. And having Trossard start in that position and look really good is another thing. It's like you don't know what Arteta's thinking, right? I mean, you see Trossard playing in those positions. We'll see what happens in the big 2 games coming up.
Yeah.
Because I think they're going to want to come out with a stronger lineup against Manchester United. Barcelona.
The one thing we all struggle with as fans, I think, is that only one person gets to pick the team, and that's Mikel Arteta. And we sometimes don't always agree with exactly everything he's doing in terms of game management and all that good stuff. Across the pond said, the green is for a tribute to Terry Neal's early 80s team. We had jersey like that, and he passed away last year, I guess. So I did not know that was connected.
Well, you know what? With so much sentimental value behind it, you would think you probably put a little bit more. It seems like when you first look at it, you're like, wow, somebody just pulled this together, and then you find out it's for a tribute. And it's like, this is your tribute to a former player who just passed away. I mean, you could have done better, right? That's what
Yeah.
So kind of like I know I'm not trying to make
it was.
It just seems it doesn't seem like they spent much effort to get that thing looking really good. So you know what I mean? So
it's for me. It's like a shirt that's not in keeping with spending 105 million with it for a record British transfer. It's probably going to set you up in your midfield for the next 5 or 6 years. Definitely. So across the pond side, wanted to see Kozier Dubry too. Get a run out.
I mean, all those youngsters in that Nuremberg game all looked really good. They all contributed. I know Nuremberg isn't a high-powered team in in the top league or whatnot, but they looked really comfortable out there, and it's early for them still too, right? So I think the future looks bright. Whether or not those players are able to stay on with Arsenal, they should have, so they could have really good futures ahead of them.
Yeah. As the team improves, we should be able to get good transfer fees for somebody like, I think, Arthur Kwanko, the goalkeeper. We could get a fee for him and other players. But Stan, how good was it last night with Jurrien Timber in there? Declan Rice made his debut. I'm gonna say he's gonna make his full debut on the weekend, and Havertz in there as well. So good to see us parade out those 3 players that we got this summer.
Yeah, I quite like Jurrien Timber. Looks quite robust, and I think for me that what he's going to do is, there are some players that that they're not going to be able to give you the whole season, and other players that can give you the whole season. For example, Granit Xhaka, that it'd be very rare for him to be to be unavailable for selection. Whereas someone like Zinchenko, I think, is a player that you cannot maybe count on for the whole season. He was out for quite a bit last season.
Injuries, yeah.
And I think what you've got now is that if Zinchenko does come out of the team, we can still go with a similar formula of using a fullback to come inverted into the midfield of Yuri and Timber. So I think it's just given us more options there in that sense. And I think it's probably Zinchenko that probably has the most to worry about with the emergence of somebody like Timber coming into the team.
Yeah. Gary, as Cross the Pond said, this Timber signing is magnifico. Look at his stats from Ajax in last night.
Yeah, no, he definitely looked really good, and I sent Stan a video which actually shows some good and bad traits that he's had over this last couple of years. So he's still got room to grow, which is where a lot of our players are. I mean, no matter all of our players that Saka, Martinelli, Erdegaard, they all still have a lot more. I would say they're not even at peak yet. And they're performing the way they are. So Timber would be the same thing. He's got a couple of players ahead of him that might keep him on the bench for a little bit, but he's definitely got some talent. He's definitely talented and looked really good out there as well. But we'll find out as the games, as you say, pick up a little bit. He looked good. Havertz will be fine, and of course Rice once he gets comfortable. I think people said he looked a little slow out there, but that was his first game and traveling and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot. He hasn't even settled yet. You know what I mean? Like he joined on a Saturday, left on a Sunday, practiced, and
all
then
the media
was playing the game and stuff. So once he gets back to England, starts getting into a rhythm, then we'll see even more of him. So I'm looking, it's looking really good. Our new players coming in. We still have some people think we might get one or two more players to bring in. So this is kind of what we wanted to see. Arsenal do the business early, and then have room to even add more if they need to. So we'll see. We'll see about that as well.
I think the main difference is as well. You look at someone like when Jorginho played in that first half. He's a lot more confident now as being part of the team, and some of the passes that he makes shows you that he's now comfortable to make long pinging diagonal passes to set players free. Whereas Declan Rice, who's still probably trying to understand his teammates, was keeping it a lot more simple. He wasn't really pinging the ball about. And if you look at someone like Kiwior, I noticed that he now looks a lot more comfortable on the ball as well compared to last season. And you can tell that where he's making himself available for the passes, he's there to help out teammates, and when he gets the ball, he's being a little bit more adventurous on the forward foot with his passes rather than being, more secure and going for a sideways pass or passing it backwards or passing it back to where he just got it from.
I
was going to say, you kind of see this. If this is the model, he's the model. He's kind of he's learned from. You see this also. People will say from City. I mean, most of their new players that come in don't hit the road running, and some of them need a year to get it going. So we're seeing that as well. And like this, Kiwior looks, is this eerily similar to kind of what happened when Erdegaard came in as well, right? He came in January, and by the go through a whole summer, next thing you know, he looks ready to go. And then you can see you could see what was going to happen, and now another year in, and he looks really good. So Kiwior looks good, comfortable with what Arteta's asking him to do, and
I think it's natural. I think it's natural, lads. A player comes in, they have to get used to their surroundings, they have to get used to the players around them, develop some sort of a rapport with them as well. You know what I mean?
Not every player, but yes. I mean, you see. I mean, we've seen Liverpool players come in January and hit the road running. So I mean, it's however you set it up. Also on how, not necessarily desperate, but what your process is. Sometimes you don't want to get, you don't want to throw their feet to the fire immediately. So.
BX said Trossard is 2-footed, technically brilliant and strong on the ball, perfect attacking mid, and we want to see him take another. He took a great step forward in the first 2-3 months when he came, and Arteta maybe understanding or trying to use Gabriel Jesus or Trossard's progress slowed, in my opinion. Tross is going to be loving Champions League and fired up. He makes goals happen, shots, and brilliant playmaking.
Trossard wasn't somebody who needed to be vetted in. He was ready to go from what I saw. I mean, he
28
looked
years
pretty
old.
good. So I don't, some players could just see what's going on and just go do it. He looked comfortable, just like Jorginho looked comfortable, when they came in January. So, yeah, I mean,
Sorry. Finish your point, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
Stan, how do we make all this work? We're talking about all these great players in the forward positions. How do we? It's not our problem. It's Mikel Arteta's problem. But just talking on a podcast here, how do we make it work?
Well, I always think that we now have to start moving away from being wedded to the idea of a first 11. Who's our first 11? And the rest are on the bench. We have to think of it now as we have a squad now. And you only have to look at, say, Man City in their Champions League final and look at the bench. Look who was on the bench for a Champions League final. Any one of those players on the bench could have actually been in the first starting lineup. They were good enough to be there. And I think that's exactly where we're heading now. We've got players on the bench where you saw last season, there were times when Mikel looked a little bit hesitant to go to the bench and try something different. Now the players on the bench have a lot more quality and could, under the right circumstances, even be a starting place player now. There's an argument that ESR could be a starting player. There's an argument that Reece Nelson could be a starting player in certain circumstances as well. Jorginho is a starting player. So I think we're looking a lot more, in that respect, we're looking a lot more stronger. And if we think of ourselves now, as I said, of having that squad rather than first 11, then we're in a good place.
Yeah.
What I liked about the game yesterday as well was that it was almost like in the first half and the second half, it was almost like two different teams. And I know that we were playing the MLS and you say it's a pre-season friendly, but I know that Mikel Arteta didn't take it like that. If you listen to Balogun's comments after the game about how the manager was asked him to take the game, but two different teams, and there wasn't like a huge drop-off where you've seen in the past where we have a first 11 and then maybe we'll put the second string out for, say, a Europa League game. And you can see there's a huge drop-off and we have to go to the bench and bring back in first players to get us out of the shit. We may not have to be that self-reliant now on certain players.
Yeah, exactly. Let's tag on to that a bit, Gary. The notion that Stan mentioned, it's a squad game now. I've seen some people last night, based off of Jurrien Timber, saying he'll be a starter pretty soon. I don't like the comment.
Tavares syndrome.
I would like the and I fell for it. Listen, I'll put my hand up.
No. It was more the point that you said he was better than Tierney, not that he could start. Big difference.
Well, I feel like back then, if you're saying he's better, then he's starting. You know what I mean?
No, and we know that's not true. We know that's not true because we're just talking about having a solid, being able to rotate. Remember that? Remember what did I say? Can we just rotate, please?
Rotation.
Can we just rotate? And now we're at the point where we had a starting lineup which was essentially, I think you had at least 3 or 4 players that don't usually start for us. They're not our first 11 based on last year, but they're going to have to start for us this year. I mean, in Keddy, I don't want to, but Arteta has trusted him. So, and he did well when he came in for a bit. But so you had that starting 11 yesterday. You had 7 players come off the bench that are all starters, and we didn't have Partey, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, and Turner. So all those players, that's basically 22 players. Based on where we are right now, that could start for us, or potentially need to be able to start for us this upcoming season. And they all, they're a lot of them are, that would be that first 16 players that we have there. So our strongest set of players. So we're looking really good there, and we're still trying to add on. So we should be able to rotate. And as Stan said, it shouldn't matter. At some point, it can't matter. Well, we're playing Barcelona this week. I have to set up my lineup going into that accordingly so I can bring in a certain 11 players. If we do that, we just throw off the rhythm anyways, right? Because a player that's either on their way out of form or in form, you're going to screw them up.
Well,
So you
let
just
me-
play. You just play the best 11 on the day, according
Well-
to what your instructions are going to be that day. If you're going to go defensive, you're going to play a certain set of players. Offensively, you're going to go play a different way. If a player is out of form, then that's an easy one. You just you switch. We've got options now, and we need to use them, and you need to use them sooner than later. So we're not talking about a February, March where we're looking at who we're going to play, because we haven't seen them play enough, or they haven't played in a month. Remember that?
Mhm.
We had a lot of players that needed to come in and play in our biggest games who hadn't played. That can't be. They need to, they all need to get some minutes across, over the course of a season. 3,500 minutes, I think, is what we're talking about, and that can't happen anymore. That's just too much.
Yeah.
With
But
the
Kyle-
numbers that we have and playing in the Champions League and all of that. So, Tony will be happy about that one. But, I think the only person that should get a large number of games over 30 starts is the goalkeeper. Otherwise, we should be able to rotate. We should be able to rotate so you're not really hitting those mid 30 starts in a season. Yeah.
Timber is already ahead of Tomiyasu, and Cedric should be.
We didn't even name Cedric. The fact
club
that Cedric in that sentence for me is like, no, he's not.
I know.
He's not part of that
I know.
rotation at all. So
Indeed. Well, let's get into the game. Stan, first goal, Gabriel Jesus after 5 minutes, and lovely chip. He meant it, right? He meant that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Gary mentioned Jorginho with those passes out there, so he feeds
That was me.
Bukayo Saka
Yeah.
for that cross.
I liked what I saw of Jorginho,
Yes.
to be fair, and that was a great pass that he put through to Saka, who done his work as well. He kind of lost the ball though, didn't he? And it was just luckily enough that Gabriel, it wasn't really a pass to Gabriel, I don't think. He sort of lost the ball a little bit, but Gabriel was in the right place and decided to go for a shot.
Very important. We saw that last year as well in Baltimore. Gabriel Jesus getting his first chance. As Gary always likes to recount that. One chance, one goal, and very similar in this one, Gary, with Gabriel Jesus scoring early.
yeah, so I mean, like you said, he just took it one time and just like, well, this ball's rolling towards me. I might as well do something with it. Boom, boom. By the time the goalkeeper knew it was up, too late. It was in the net.
Yeah.
That pass, as you said, to Saka was there. I counted it at least 5 times. The first 2 ended up in goals. The next 3, I don't know if Saka got tired or lazy or whatever, but they just didn't pan out. Even though it was the same situation, it was 1-on-1 with the defender out there. So that looked really good, and we're going to see that a lot, and then they're going to go, oh, it will stop Saka, and then all of a sudden you got Martinelli on the other side. So it will be good to see.
We had a lot of that
works
last
out.
season. Stop Saka, you got Martinelli. Stop Martinelli, you got Erdegaard.
Yeah.
And if we're going to push 5 forward, Stan, it's got to be, Havertz getting over 10 goals as well. Erdegaard, Jesus, Saka, Martinelli.
Well, whoever's
Yeah,
going to
you-
be playing deep needs to hopefully chip in with some goals. I don't know what the number would be. I mean, how many did Partey get last season? He got a few, didn't he?
A couple. Yeah, I think
Got a few, didn't
Gary
he?
witnessed one, and then there was a carbon copy against Nottingham Forest, so he definitely
Yeah.
got 2.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey.
when you have
Yeah, Phil as
potentially
well.
5 players that can get double-digit goals for you, it might be okay. You're going to get some goals maybe on corners and whatnot and free kicks, but they might not need to score as much. I mean, talking about 50 goals right there from your attackers.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yep.
when you start adding it all up, you're gonna
And then across the pond says our defense is looking amazing. We first went with big studs: Kivior, Gabriel, Saliba, and White. Then late it was Kieran Tierney, Trusty, Tomiyasu, and Timber. It was like Oz, but on the right side of midfield. OZ. Yeah. So listen, we're getting there. We're building a squad now, Stan, to fight in the league.
It's-
And good times ahead. I think good times ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we know we've haven't even had Thomas Partey make an appearance yet, or ESR make an appearance yet. And what did you guys think of Teabag? You actually getting some minutes to play, and what's your thoughts on Teabag? And
I think it's a. I didn't watch the full game. I think Gary had watched along with Ryan. So I didn't hear great things about Teabag or Fabio Vieira, however you want to call him. And but it was good that he played. Gary, what do you think?
Oh, sorry, I miscounted. I don't.
You lost count of the times he frustrated you.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't. It doesn't look like it's gonna work. Like you.
Well,
nothing. Well, no. If I can, if academy players can stand out in my mind in these preseason games, then he's not doing a good job. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm not saying that he has to be perfect for 90 minutes or whatever number of minutes he's on the pitch, but there's got to be some glimpses of like, okay, I can see what we got here, and I don't remember, and maybe I missed it, but I don't think I don't know if any. I haven't heard many people say he looked pretty good today. He looked better than he did the last time we saw him. So I don't remember what he did yesterday. I did watch it, but it didn't stand out like any of the other players. And like Jorginho looked really good, Trossard looked really good, and he's also in the middle there, right? I don't remember what he no. It's disappointing.
Gary's got amnesia when it comes to
Arteta. He wants something out of him, but it may not work.
No,
not the way not when you look at Timber and you see what he did.
Okay,
right?
But remember, we're gonna give everyone 10 games of the season.
No.
Right?
He's already been here. He's already been here for a season. I'm sorry. No. If I just told you, we saw academy players in the last match with some highlight tape. Mm-hmm. The one thing I remember from the last time I saw Fabio play was he started dribbling and a guy touched him and he fell to the ground. And I'm like, okay, that's come on, dude.
You see, that's the thing now. He's gonna have to go some to convince a lot of us now.
Yeah,
I
do. I mean, I think we've seen him with some nice crosses. We've seen him with some nice volleys that didn't work out. But I think he needs, like we've said before, you need to be able to be multifaceted in your game. And if he can't hold the ball up and have a defender get near him without losing the ball or falling over, it's not going to work, right?
It doesn't. The way you're describing it, it's not going to work. But across the pond, you found Arsenal Fan Circle. Thanks for joining us, and we have shows twice a week through the season, and you found yourself a nice little community here. This Vieira was not active enough early. Got better later on, but he hides too much. Ødegaard, that never happens. He's always active. Stan, what do you think about Vieira?
I really want it to work out for him so much. I really do. We spent good money on the guy, and you look at his stats when he came to us from Portugal, from Porto. In that last season, in 27 matches, he scored 6 goals and had 14 assists. So there's definitely something in there, and it's and generally when a player comes over from the Portuguese league, they usually do very well in England as well. You've seen a lot of players come from Portugal do very well in the Premier League. So what I was saying earlier about how sometimes it takes players a little bit of time to grow into their skin a bit, it seems to me that it takes some people maybe a couple of weeks. Maybe take somebody several months. But I think that he still, for whatever reason, still looks very introverted to me. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't look like he's really expressing himself, and he's trying to keep it simple, and the slightest knock, he's down on the ground. So I don't know what we do with him. I don't know whether he goes out on loan or whether we try to give him minutes here at home. I just think it's quite rare, isn't it, to spend around 35 million on a player and then send him out on loan. It's not usually a good sign, is it?
No.
It's not a good sign. You think that, at that stage in his career, we should be maybe working on him in-house. But as I said on the last broadcast that we did, Saka last season has played more minutes, I believe, than Teabag has played in his whole professional career, even before he came to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Which is quite hard to believe, right? I'm sure the figure is something like that. So, he needs minutes. And the same with Marquinhos as well. I think there's definitely a player in there. He looks strong and very robust. But I don't think he will get the minutes that he needs at Arsenal. So I'd like him to go out on loan again. But Teabag, I think we should be trying to work on him in-house. And we need to see some value from him this season somewhere. If it's in cup games or whatever, he needs to start showing his value and making himself, a little bit like how ESR was when we were bringing him off the bench. When you bring him off the bench, he actually participates in the game and gives us a bit of product.
Yeah, it gives us something. Yes, it is, Dan. Yes, it is, Gary. And I'm actually delighted that you've picked up on my Irish accent. I've been living in the States for 20 years.
Yeah.
It's in there somewhere, the Irish accent. Ray here. So.
And across the pond had a good comment there. Eddie and Fabio, not much you can put on tape from their last couple of games. And you look at the players that are competing for their positions. I mean, and Mills-Rowe hasn't come in yet, so maybe we'll see how that pans out. But Balogun always seems to be involved, and I actually saw something from Balogun in the game yesterday where he actually, we talk about, all right, when you're not scoring and you're not making runs at the goal, what else do you do? And I believe I saw Balogun come. He came back. He crossed the midline, came back to support, and had the ball, and he's comfortable with the ball at his feet with players around him, which is, we see Jesus do that many times, and Balogun was doing that. So for me, that I don't know if Arteta picked up on that. I believe that's what I saw, but I think he's a much more well-rounded player. He's still young in the sense that he doesn't have the Premier League experiences Nketiah does, but the talent's there. I mean, he scored 20 goals in La Liga, right? And if he does half as good in Premier League, he'll take it, right? Because you always see a dip in scoring, but he doesn't even need to do that. He just needs to be, he'll support outside of just scoring goals, I believe, as he gets more comfortable with this thing. So Balogun, like I said, I can remember seeing things that he did. And Nketiah and Fabio, I don't remember much because they didn't stand out. They didn't do anything.
Yeah,
and these aren't even. We're not even playing Premier League teams.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Competitive games.
Like you're playing teams that are shouldn't give you much of a competition in that sense, or tough games or anything like that. So you should be able to work on the things that you can't do, like in a Premier League match. I don't know who's going to start, but I guess I'm not expecting to see Nketiah start, and definitely Fabio's not going to start against Manchester United, right? We're going pretty strong.
I have a lineup here. We can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
Balogun or Eddie, that seems to be the case here. One needs sold, methinks, but I just think Balogun has something special. I mean,
when other fans from other teams are looking at Balogun going, I'll take him with our team because
for that price,
one, there's not that many strikers out there. They're either going to cost you a lot of money, or he's actually got it's only a year, but he's got a CV with playing for a team for an entire season and doing well. What more? You'll take potential right like that, then you will maybe it'll work out. That sounds like favoritism, Gary.
Comes to Vieira and Eddie.
Hey.
Vieira and Eddie had good games. Listen, everybody's going to see something a little bit different.
As I said, Raul, I didn't remember what they did. I remember a lot of what happens with the players. When I don't remember it, that it doesn't stand out. And maybe you'll remember a play that he did that looked really good, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I don't remember it.
Gary lives in New Jersey. I'm living in Pennsylvania, in the States, and you may know Stan is living in Canada, right? Stan.
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Dive in on Balogun and Kedia, Stan.
Well, I think Eddie was kind of like starting out on the left, but there were times in that game where it looked like he was operating. It looked like we were operating with two up front, and I think that maybe Mikel Arteta would probably be pleased with Eddie and Ketia, to be playing out of position. I don't think he did anything wrong. It's just a shame that he didn't do anything that made us go, And the same with Balogun as well, because there seems to be an argument about which one is the one that we keep. And at the moment, now that I'm getting an opportunity to see Balogun close up, because I didn't follow him in France, I just heard the reports. I'm not seeing any one of them that's jumping out to me as this is the guy yet, But it's pre-season and they've got to make the most of their minutes. But we've seen Eddie tear it up in pre-season before, and then go into the season, get opportunities and not do anything. So who knows really? I think in the manager's mind, I think he knows who is starting in that position, and it's not Eddie. For me, looking at where we are now strength-wise, because we've been a small, depleted squad for so long, I like where we are now with our squad. Thomas Partey notwithstanding, meaning if we keep him, that's great. If we sell him and we bring in an ideal replacement, that's great. But I think for me, there's two more positions that I think we need to fill, and I could do. And for me, that's be another winger. I think we need another wide player. Ideally, maybe one that's going to give Saka a little bit of competition, or even rest when that player comes in. We don't see a huge drop off, and I still think that we need another option through the middle.
Yeah.
As much as I like Gabriel Jesus, I'm not confident that if he gets injured or goes through bad form, that we've got something that's a little bit different and can help us out in that position. We've got a number of candidates, right? We know Havertz can play there. We know that Trossard can play there. Eddie can play there. But I think we need something that's a little bit more established that would actually be competition to Jesus, rather than just being a filling guy when he's not available.
Yeah, and we don't know what's going to happen toward the end of the season here.
No.
If
I may get my wish, right? I could get my wish.
Yeah. If Mikel Arteta convinces Balogun to stay, or we cash in on the money. New Jersey and Penn, you guys go on Saturday. Yes, I'm meeting up with Gary. We are going to the game, and we will trash Man United accordingly, right?
Yes, sir.
That was against MLS All-Stars rule. We've seen Eddie Sealing already. Yeah, so listen, there's a lot to happen for Balogun yet, I don't know, Gary, if being with the group is going to help Balogun change his mind, or how do you see that dynamic?
I guess I saw different things from Balogun than Stan did, but I believe he brings his stuff, and he's got yes, is he a strong number two? No, but Nketiah isn't either. But I believe he brings a lot more to the table.
One,
I think
right?
he's got a lot more things he can provide than Nketiah does. You know what I mean? For me, based on what I've seen, and I would take the chance with the potential. Like for me, if you can look at a Carrior and give him, and see the potential in him, I don't know why we wouldn't see anything in Balogun. I mean, I know a lot of people are listening to the words coming out of his mouth and saying he's got an attitude, but I just see him on the pitch and the way he plays, and doesn't look like a player that's a disruptor per se. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. He's been in the Arsenal system for a while. Sometimes you should give those players just as much a chance as the other players that you have. So I would give him a chance for sure.
It's going to be
if they say, because right now nobody's going to pay. It doesn't sound like anybody's going to pay the 50 million pounds for him, which I think Arsenal definitely should be hopefully expecting that, or else they should be keeping him. But
I think it's exactly.
And even if they sold him, who are they going to bring in? The only person they can bring in is Tony, and that's not in January. It sounds like everybody's got that in their back pocket as an option. All right. So when you have a Balogun, I rather, like I said, I just think the potential's there for him to be able to bring something different,
prosper.
different to that position, and he can grow into it. So, like I said, I don't know what Arteta has told him going into the loan and stuff like that, and that's why maybe we're hearing it. But I don't know. It should be a chance we take.
Can I add something to that? I think that in this situation with Balogun, Arsenal being a self-sustaining model, which is what we are, is a lot different to being like Manchester City with a huge benefactor behind you. So when you look at Arsenal, we've already gone and spent just over 200 million already in this transfer market. There has to be ways for that income to come back before any more will be released. You've got to offset the books. And I think at the moment, looking at somebody like Thomas Partey and Flo Balogun, I think maybe in Mikel Arteta's eyes, he looks at those two as being, well, this is where I can recoup some of that money.
Yeah.
So whether we, if we sell Balogun to recoup some of that money, the question is, does that money go back into the pocket? And that's that. Thank you very much. We've given you the 100 million for Declan, and you brought in Havertz for your 68 and Timber and that. Thank you. Or when we bring in that money from the sales, does that allow us to spend it again? Do you see what I'm getting at? That's what I'm interested to see. We're under the impression, aren't we, that the money that if we're under the impression that if we sell Partey, there will be someone else coming in. Money will be spent.
100%.
But if we sell Partey and Balogun, and maybe £50 million is too much, but maybe 50 million euros to someone out in Europe might work. That might be a bit more reasonable. If we can spend that money and go again, that'd be quite healthy.
If you're going to put that out there, then you sell Tierney as well. Then, so I don't see a difference in selling Tierney than I do in Partey. They both can start for us. They both give us.
I think all three of them will probably go.
Yeah. No. So like for me, if that's the model they're going to go with, I can see that if they sold all three, then they can get whatever they want after that, right? They could go after an Osimhen if they wanted to. You know what I mean? Because that would give them the monies for something like that. But if it's just to balance the books kind of thing, I think that's punishing your team, because now you're back in the same boat with, if you sell those three players, now you're down two squad players, two parts of your squad, if not starters on your team. So you don't want to. I don't think we want to be in that situation.
Want to replenish that. Here's the situation I think we're in now. We've gotten the club into a good spot now, where we've had to in the last few years cancel contracts, pay players who were disruptive to leave the dressing room. I think now we're in such a good position, Gary, and if Stan's listening as well, that we can hold firm on a Kieran Tierney at a certain price. We can hold firm on a Thomas Partey at a certain price and not have to let go of these players for less than we deem good value. You know what I mean? Yep. The same would be Balogun, the same even for Eddie and Kedia. So I'm thinking 35 for Kieran Tierney, 40 some for Partey, and about 50, as you were saying, for Balogun. And if those players do go, Gary, then we've got, as across the pond here is talking about, Kudos from Ajax, a right winger, maybe a central player, but definitely a forward who could help us. Maybe a Romeo Lavia for Thomas Partey if he's moving on, although it sounds like Thomas Partey staying. Some people don't rate Lavia and think it would take a year maybe for him to get to a Partey level. Yep. And of course, there's left backs out there if Kieran Tierney wants to move on. But isn't that a good thing, Gary, that we're in such a good position now as a club that we can maybe hold firm on certain players and their valuations?
For sure. Definitely a maturation in this team that we're building, that we have players that can start for us, but we could also sell them to move on, for different reasons. So this is where you wanted to be. You wanted to be in a situation where you have players whose value, 50 for Balogun isn't a crazy valuation of a player at that age and with those numbers, right? I mean, you know what I mean? So it sounds ridiculous, 50 for Balogun, but name how many strikers out there with 20 goals in a season are available?
Well, that Hoyland
Mhm.
kid, right? He's going for
Yeah.
maybe 6 million, and he scored a lot less goals
Well,
than
I think
Yeah.
he's. Yeah,
the Danish
I
kid.
thought I heard 7. Is it 7 or
yeah,
11 or something
something
like that?
low. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Do you ever
he's in a.
think
Is he? He's not in a tougher league than Liga, right?
Atalanta he plays for, right? Was that
Atlanta?
America, isn't it?
So
Oh,
Serie A.
it's Serie A. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
the other thing I was thinking as well, I saw something about Caicedo and Chelsea having difficulty trying to get Caicedo now
Yeah.
because Brighton value Caicedo similar to Declan Rice. In my opinion, you have an age difference there of 3 or 4 years. You have an experience difference of 3 or 4 years in the league. So I'm saying right now, Caicedo is not at the level of Declan Rice. But
But
you
you're.
have these things
Yeah.
where the clubs are valuing. There's benchmarks, right? Man United have done this. Chelsea have done this. They've raised the level of the market with Mudryk, Anthony, and the like.
Yeah.
Grealish moving Stan, and now
Well, if this guy
we've
is
had to
worth
pay
that,
105
then this
million
guy who's done more must be worth that. You know, that's how it's seems
But
to
it's
be
all
going.
it's all potential as well that's added on to that.
with
Like
Caicedo as well.
Rice's ceiling is smaller than a Casado, and so you're paying
I
for that
mean,
as
He's
well.
reached it,
I mean, look, let's have it right. All
right?
because you pay over 70 million for a player, it doesn't mean it's going to work out. Look at Maguire, that was 80 million. Look at Anthony, he's not setting the world alight. Jadon Sancho, I mean, what's going on there? I mean, you know, there's been some flashes, but he hasn't.
Forgot
Doesn't look
about
like he's
him.
living up to the price tag. Jack Grealish took a season to settle in. You
Yeah.
could arguably say that he had a good season last season. He won a treble, but it doesn't always work out. Another one, which we all know about, Nicola Pepe. 72 million. Look how that's ended. So sometimes you have to take these gambles, and I really do hope that, you know, that we're not sat here at the end of next season talking about what we're going to do with Kai Havertz. How are we going to move him on? Who's going to pay those wages? We've got him for 5 years now. I really hope we're not having that conversation, because should Havertz not work out, and let's say T-Bag doesn't work out, that's about 100 million right there. That's not going. That's not.
But you know what? But the state of Arsenal football is a lot different than it was 2 years ago. We potentially could not absorb it in the sense financially, but absorb it in the sense of our performances. That if they don't work out, we still have answers, right? We still have answers. Like Emile Smith-Rowe is still there, right? If it doesn't work out, you know, Trossard definitely can come back and play in that position if needed. So
yes,
we're in a better. We have our risk is smaller than it's ever been in a lot of positions on the pitch, right? I mean, nobody has an answer. Nobody has a replacement for Saka, so we're not going to even deal with that one. But, you know, we're better off now. We are a lot stronger. Hopefully, in depth, we'll see how that pans out as far as we're healthy, as far as being healthy and whatnot. But it's a better situation than it has been in a while. You know, if we stay healthy, we're going to be looking really good. If players continue to improve, like, you know, that's why I'm saying the ceiling for a lot of these players, we haven't even got close to it yet, right? Like Saka and Martinelli, Erdegaard, they still got room to grow in their positions, right? Timber is nowhere where he will be in the future. He could be playing like a Casado, you know, when we look at it a year or two from now. You know what I mean?
Just to make you smile, Gary, Stan as well. We're in the best position now as Arsenal fans looking at the team in 20 years. It's been 20 years since we've been this good. Maybe 19 years, right? Because that team got to the Champions League final.
You said something. You said bad luck or something like that, Stan. And on my Twitter feed, I don't know if you know, but Ipswich has a new loanee that just came in.
I said bad luck. Sorry, you lost me a little bit there, Gal.
You said bad luck. You said you said bad luck or something like that, and I'm just like looking on my Twitter feed. No, I'll tell you. I don't remember. You mentioned that word. I think whatever word you mentioned, it'll play into this one. Ipswich now has a new player came in on loan from Chelsea, Amari Hutchinson.
Oh, geez, yeah. So Amari Hutchinson used to be in the academy.
One of ours. He was one of ours, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. He went for greener pastures.
He went from Arsenal. He thought he was going sideways to Chelsea, but he's gone to Ipswich. You know,
Yeah.
Marcus Evans.
Stefan's team. I think Stefan's team. Yeah.
Can I just say as well, though, just going back to Kai Havertz, because it's the one
Mhm.
signing that I'm really like on pins and needles about.
You're worried about? Yeah.
I'm really, really worried about, because I
Yeah.
get the impression that just looking at people's perception, right? The perception is that, you know, after he had a great time in Germany as a player and was perceived as, you know, maybe one of the next best things since, you know, sliced bread, so to speak, the perception is that he's gone to Chelsea and not done as good as what people thought for whatever reason. So for me, him coming to Arsenal feels like, for the player, it could be viewed as like a last chance saloon for that player. If he moves, as I'm saying, if he moves across to London to us, and for whatever reason we aren't able to get the player that was in Germany back, and he ends up being a bit of a Willian, then no one will take him unless it's cut price, because he's already in the last chance saloon now with us. So he's the player that I'm going to have my eyes on the most and be having my fingers crossed every time he plays that we get a return from him, because the amount of money we've paid and the amount of money he's on, if it don't work out, it could be like a Nicolas Pepe job where we end up sending this guy on loan to get him away out of sight, but we're still paying his wages off and we can't sell him, and you know.
Yeah. I've called him in the last few podcasts. I've called Havertz, Arteta's Pepe.
And the only thing that will mask it, if we get in that situation with Havertz, the only thing that would mask it would be winning the league. Do you know what I'm getting at? Or winning a double or something like that. Then you can mask something like that. If we don't, the naysayers and those that, you know, seem to have a problem with people like Arteta, and they will come out in force and use that as a big bar to hit us over the head with.
I don't understand why they took. It's a risk, right?
Big risk.
I don't understand why they had to take this risk, right? Like they don't want to risk Balogun, but they're going to risk Havertz. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to take a risk on Balogun and see if it pans out, but they'll take a risk on Havertz, who basically in the last 2 years hasn't shown, you know, that it's going to work out. So it's like I said, it's weird how they take risks and when they take risks.
It's funny.
Would any of you guys use Havertz as a barometer on the quality of our manager? I.e., if he unlocks him, you know, brilliant. Yeah. But if we get to the end of next season and it looks like it's just not working, it's similar to what it is as Chelsea, are you going to use that as a measure to say, well, what happened there of our manager? Why did he make that signing? And he must have seen something, and if he saw it, why wasn't he able to dig it out?
I think that's fair, Stan, and I'm going to set the marker at 10 goals. I think that's fair for Havertz this season. 10 goals, and he should get a similar amount of assists, 8 or 9 assists. But I think that's fair. And yes, to answer your question before Gary comes in, it would be a barometer of how Arteta can work with a player. Gary?
Yeah, no, like I said, it's Arteta and Edu have taken risks on players, either cheap, and then we saw they went with Fabio, which is a little bit more money than they've spent in the past on a risk, and then they even doubled up and went with Havertz now with risk. So if you look at for me, Tavares and Sambi and Fabio and now Havertz, they're all for me risky purchases that we brought up, either unknown, you know, or we don't know if it's going to pan out when they move into the Premier League. And so far, you know, that's been like one in each window. So if I said that one of your players in every window isn't going to pan out, is that bad? Probably not, right? When you think of it by the numbers, right? Yeah. You know, so it may not work out, but it might be okay because you did pick up a Rice and you did pick up a Timber, and you might pick up a Kudus or a Batelli, I think is the other player we're looking at as well, right? So it might, you know, so if you hit on more than 50% of your targets, that's a good sign, right? I mean, unless we're going to see, like if Phillips works out for Manchester City, then they're pretty good, right? But we'll see how that pans out as well.
Yeah,
you know, because it didn't work out for the first season there. So yeah, I think it is a risk, but I think in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the numbers, it's not that. It's by the player count, it's not an issue,
I
but by
think
the money spent, the fact that now you've spent, as you said, 100 mil on 2 players in 2 summer windows, and both may not pan out. It looks bad, but it's not as bad, especially if you have another 18 players that are just going to cover up the
or
you know,
10, right?
Well,
So
no,
get-
I mean, if you have
on the field, though, you put 11 out there, you
Oh.
put Havertz in there with 10 other players around them that are
Yeah.
world class. He can look somewhat protected in that
True.
environment. You know what I mean?
True. And the least things that they give him to do, maybe it pans out. I mean, they did that. We saw that for Xhaka, right? The least amount of things that he needed to do, the more he looked
Take his
comfortable out
workload
there,
off,
and
keep
the
him
better
prosperous.
he played
Yeah.
for us. So maybe I don't know what they're gonna take off Havertz's plate because I don't think Chelsea was asking him to do a lot of things, but they were asking him to score goals when he had opportunities, and
I
he
think
didn't
it's
do
funny.
that for them.
It's funny sometimes when you look at footballers' resumes or CVs. You know what I mean? It could look like a block of work where the player lost himself for 2 or 3 years, and Chelsea could be that. You go from Leverkusen, and then you skip past Chelsea, and it might look good at Arsenal again. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. Change of scenery could rejuvenate. I think that's the word I was looking for when Stan was talking about it. Iconoclast said, it's not fair. If we had the midfielder we need before they signed Kai, I'd have agreed. They've invested 65 million that could have been used more effectively. Stan, some people are likening this as like a twin package. You get Havertz and you put Rice in there. Rice can do some of the things that Havertz can't do or cover for his efficiencies. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at his numbers as well. So last season for Chelsea, he had 35 matches in the league and he scored 7 goals and 1 assist. The year before that, he had 29 appearances. He had 8 goals and 3 assists. The year before that, 2020, 2021, 27 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. And then you look at what he was doing in Germany at Leverkusen, and if you go to the Bundesliga, in his last season, he had 30 appearances and had 12 goals and 6 assists. The year before that, he had more appearances. He had 4 more appearances, 34 matches, and he got 17 goals and 3 assists. And then the 2 seasons before that were really low numbers. 2017, 2018.
He would have been very young
30,
then, right?
Yeah, 30 matches. Still a lot of matches. Obviously, we don't know how he was being used, but he got 3 goals, 8 assists. Not bad on the assists.
No.
And then the year before that, 24 appearances, 4 goals, 5 assists. So, I mean, you look at it and you think, well, if we can get him back to around about what he was doing in 2018, 2019, with the appearances and what he was putting in.
Yeah,
and obviously the trainers and the coaches know a lot more about this than I did. And if they think that there's something that's been missing, and they can get him back, we could have something good in our hands.
Yeah, if we get him into the high teens in terms of goals and assists combined, then I think Arteta has probably done well by the player. You know what I mean? He's a better tackler and presser than Xhaka. He was the German wonder kid. So these are all
quite
good things.
Tall as well, isn't he? He's quite a tall guy, quite a big guy.
That's it as well, 6'4", and I think BX has been talking about it, Gary. He's going to score some goals for us, headed goals as well.
Yeah.
BX been talking about that.
True.
So
I think, like I said, I think Arteta did get him not necessarily for his scoring as much as also for his pressing. You have him and Erdegaard up there pressing on a back line. We keep the ball possession. We maybe don't have to worry about the defensive responsibilities as much, right? I mean, with Xhaka, I don't think his pressing wasn't anywhere near to what Havertz could be. So if we're putting that much pressure on a team, they're going to have to bring us down in the box so we're scoring goals, right? So that's what we need. So why not? Now it has, as I said, it's not all about the scoring, but definitely. I think the pressing is going to be key because that's like when he's having a bad day. If he's pressing, we're happy, right? So yeah. As I said, I was hoping that he would have the same presence as as Jesus had when he came in, but we didn't get that. So now he's just gonna have to earn our trust every minute he's on the pitch. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm asking a lot in preseason, but I've seen it before, so I know it can be done. And it isn't like he has a this is a redemption story for him. I assume he knows what people are saying about him.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans are laughing because they think they took
We,
us to cleaners, right? So
I'm
I think
laughing.
yeah.
I'm laughing because last season we had the Granit Xhaka redemption story, and this season it could be the Kai Havertz redemption story. But I've got a question for you, Gary, and then I'll go to Stan with that as well. Next two games, Manchester United and Barcelona. What is better for you? The results are better or rotation? What do you want? You can't say both.
Wait, say it again now.
Do you want to have players be rotated and get more minutes for preseason, or do you want to pick a settled side and win the game?
Oh, I don't care about the result, to tell you the truth, because it is preseason. I mean, if we have the numbers, we should be able to compete and get a win in these games, right? So, you got to rotate. You don't want your players putting in 60 minutes. So I think for me, we're not going to do that. But
so you want to see a good balance?
Yeah, no, I mean, if you think about it, we had Martinelli and Erdegaard on the bench to start, and Declan Rice to start the last match, right?
Yep.
There are three of our starters going forward, right? So, and Kai Havertz might be a starter for us as well, so that would be 4. Yep. So you think about it, we did split the squads. We might do that again, but I think at some point you're going to want to get close to that 11 that you plan to play, I assume, in the Community Shield, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see them play once in a while and then rotate there. So they might do it in this one. They might do it in Stan's place. But like I said, I don't necessarily care about the result as much, but I want to see how these players are going to do playing together. So, that's probably more likely going to happen when you do have those, like that first and 11 and second 11 maybe playing with each other, so that they get comfortable with each other, because that's what's, you know what I mean? Bad use of words.
Did it again.
Playing on the field at the same time.
That's so far.
No, but I think we need to be in a situation where we could, if we needed to, we could go with a second 11. You know what I mean? Because then the players want to comfortable with each other, but also the holes that they're not really filling. They're filling hole. They know where to be, and they could fill holes in the first team when needed. Right. So that's kind of what we want to be. That's where we want to be. So
what I'm saying really is we're going to be playing Man United, we're going to be playing Barcelona, and rotation is more important than actually winning games. So if we throw a draw in here, maybe we even lose a game. It's not the worst thing at the end of the world, is it, Stan? No. I'll call you mid-chip, sorry. Did anyone notice the defense we started was all center backs, tall players? A little bit like Pep deployed last season. So Stan, rotation or settled side winning?
I think the more minutes you give to the squad, then the more ready they will be come the beginning of the season. Should you need to call on them if something happens to a player, so I'd like them all to. If you're going to take them all on tour, give them all an opportunity to play and get minutes into their legs, I think.
Yeah. Rule said Arteta mentioned he's not a Xhaka replacement in the way we might think, probably play a lot closer to the striker. Some people have talked about this 8-10 hybrid, plays at the 8 but drifts in to that 10 to support that striker. And that would be interesting. I know Stan is interested in getting a player close to Jesus in the box for that 2 up front look. You know what I mean?
I noticed it in this last game. I know that Eddie started on the left, but there were times I felt where it looked like we had almost 2 strikers in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we've talked about that a lot on this channel. It's something that I'd like to see more of. And I have a feeling that we'll start seeing that happen a lot more next season. I mean, we basically do it off the ball, but on the ball, you know, well, on the ball, sometimes it's like we've got 5 up front.
Yeah, we get a lot of players into the box now, and maybe Declan Rice is going to enable us to push that 5th player.
I saw him up in the box a few times as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, basically, when you think about it, he played for West Ham kind of deep in front of the back 4. He's going to probably play in the opposition's half instead of in his own half. You know what I mean? So Gary, it's gonna allow us to do a lot of things. Declan Rice will.
And Timber looked fine sitting in front of the back line, because as I recall, I believe we had like a back 3 there when we were in the attack, and he looked fine with the ball, kind of moving.
We don't want it to go to a back 2 though.
No, he had 3 people behind him, so he had 3 people behind him, I believe. But he was he looked pretty good and comfortable with the ball doing those things. So
Stan's dream is 2 up front, but Stan's nightmare is 2 at the back.
Yeah, I mean everybody. I mean, like I said, I watched that game, and I want to. If we're gonna play in Katie, I just want it to look good, and it didn't. I don't remember it, which is bad.
Can we play 2-6-2 as a formation?
2-6-2.
That makes Stan very happy, I think. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's finish up on the last 2 goals, Gary. Martinelli's goal. I imagine you enjoyed that one, right?
Yeah, like you said, I was expecting to put his hands up, and like he did in another match where he had a long ball down, he just put his hands up and he went to score. Right? I mean,
that would be
and when you watch it, you're like, oh, well. You can see Martinelli make his run, and you're like, if that pass is on target, and it was, and a nice.
Was it Odegaard that played him through?
Odegaard, and this reminded me of the Brighton game where away from home he had that sweeping left foot playing Martinelli in the same channel.
It was a really nice. It worked out really well. So yeah, that was really good, and that the second, the Havertz goal was, Marquinhos looked really comfortable on that right hand side, attacking from the left and putting balls in. Some of them didn't pan out, but he looked fine there, doing what we want to see on that side. The ball gets deflected. I think the ball got deflected and falls at Havertz's feet, and the rest is history after that.
He really slammed that one home, didn't he?
Yeah, goalkeeper. The MLS All-Star goalkeepers, they used 3.
They used 3 keepers.
The penalty kick from Jorginho. Did you see what the goalkeeper did on that one?
Yeah,
he was so frozen, his knees just gave out. He just went to his knees. He didn't even.
Yeah,
he didn't even move to the ball. I was like,
that Jorginho skip. It's hard to read what he's going to do there with that Jorginho skip. A lead up, a hop, and sort of push it into the corner, as it were. Martinelli, that finish from Martinelli was, it gets compared to Henry a lot, right? But it was Henry-esque, wasn't it? Just passing it into the corner. Stan, what did you think about the Martinelli goal?
It's just getting better and better, isn't it?
Yeah, he's getting comfortable in that position, right?
I can't wait to see what he's going to do for us this season, because I know it's going to be better than the last season. He's taking his chances, and there is a little bit of an Henry-esque with the way he opened his body up and got that in right at into the far corner there. For a second, I thought, is it like it's going to trickle past? But no, he got in there, nestled into the side netting. But I mean, you have to take your hat off to Adu for finding this kid. And, this is a kid that had been looked at before. He went on trial or been in and around Man United on 4 different occasions. And for whatever reason, they were like, nah. Well, fantastic.
Yeah. In that situation, a player put through like that, I couldn't pick another player on the team that would be better in that situation.
He's so direct, isn't he? He's so direct.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah, there's
know,
a little bit of a Theo Walcott about him in the way that when he gets the ball, he just wants to run towards that goal.
you have a lot of confidence about him being able to put that one away and finding the net. You know, others would be worried in that situation a little bit. You know what I mean? And then we have Havertz as well. So that's a 5-0 win against the MLS All Stars, and you know, we have to take it in stride. Gary enjoyed it. We have winning games is a good thing, and we're going to move on to the Man United game. We'll talk about the Man United game in a moment. Just want to talk a bit about Aston Villa. BX Gunner put one in here. Villa is getting Diaby, and I personally, I put a Twitter post up about this one. I don't think Unai Emery can do better than 7th place that he did last season. Do you think he can push any higher than 7th in the league?
Well, it's going to be interesting now because now is the time where he's able to start bringing in his own players. I think with the last season, he only was able to bring in one. So he was working with the tools that were already there. It's going to be interesting to see the quality and caliber of players that he brings in, and whether that's going to elevate the squad or do the opposite. You know, that's what I'm interested in, because I think some of his signings may be a bit suspect, but let's see.
Good. He's a good coach, Unai Emery. I definitely rate him. He did a good job last season. Taking, I think, Steven Gerrard's mess. I think they were 11th or 12th, Gary. He pushed all the way up to 7th place and nearly got 6th. He's just a point off 6th. But has he reached his ceiling in terms of what Emery could do with Aston Villa?
I don't think so. I mean, he didn't really. I mean, as you said, he came in mid-season, right? So if you give him a whole off season and then you give him his own players, and it's like I mean, look at the players that they brought in, right? I mean, I think if Diaby is one, and then
did I bring in Tielemans? Did they?
They brought Tielemans,
Tielemans, and they have another player they brought in as well. That's pretty good as well. So they're having a decent window, and if they were 7th last season and you're expecting them to improve, then they could do better than 7th. They do have who is it? They do have Europa League or whatever it is. I think
Europa League. Brighton will have Europa.
He can win that with any other club except for Arsenal.
Yes.
Is it?
I think he's in Conference League. To be fair,
right, Conference League. So he does good in the European League. So he might be fine there.
Arsenal.
So something about that. Yeah.
No, but a couple of players in that dressing room didn't help him. Probably, you know what I mean.
True. True. No, I think it will be a competitive season in terms of football. If you think about all the teams, and you're saying 7th, and then like behind them is that.
I'm just trying to think. Can he be better than Liverpool? Can he be better than Brighton? Can he be better than Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal, and City? There's 6 teams right away. I doubt if they're going to be better than Brighton, But we shall see. Interesting the way you look at Twitter and they buy a player like Diaby. Well, he's going to play. He's a good player. He's going to play one position, and he's not going to make or break the team. Other things will be required.
Brighton could lose 2 of its good defenders if the season goes the way it is. I mean, those are big holes to fill, regardless of who they pick up. It might not,
Holding. They can have Rob Holding, right?
Don't Villa have Leon Bailey there?
Yeah.
See, he was a player that I kind of knew a little bit about before he came to this league, and I was quite excited about him coming to the league. And he hasn't really. I think he's had an injury or 2, but he hasn't really seemed to have done what I thought he was going to do.
Yeah.
At Villa.
And look, I like Unai Emery. I thought he was hard done by Arsenal. Of course, we're in a good spot now, and we want the best for Unai Emery, except when we played him. But I think it will be difficult to get in the top 6, as Rule has said.
When you said it, I was like, oh, no, and you look, and it's like, yeah, it might be. I mean, as bad as that team was last season, if Harry Kane doesn't leave and Madison goes in, and their manager is a sound player coach, get a tune out of them. You know, they might not be as
Yeah.
good as the teams at the top, but you know, when you've got a 30 goal, you know, a 20 plus goal scorer on your team, it can't be that
Hard to
bad.
know where Kane's going to end up, if he's going to stay at Tottenham or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah.
Emery has a good squad. He knows how to win. You know, he can definitely get some decent results, and he got a good tune out of him.
That's right. It was Paul Torres, who's I think is also another good
Paul
pickup
Torres,
for Villa. So it will be a tougher go around this time, I think, in the league, because even if Brighton is struggling, they have solid coaching there, and who knows who the next player coming out of Brighton could be. All right.
Mm-hmm. They always seem to find good ones, you know. All right, Stan, on Saturday we're going to go to New Jersey, and it's going to be Manchester United. What kind of team would you like to see out there? I mean, I'm going to just throw something out here, see what you think. It's New York. Balogun is born in New York. I'm saying Mikel Arteta will start following Balogun up front.
I don't think Mikel Arteta looks at things like that, about the marketing side of it and all of that. I really don't think he does. I think he'll start the team that he thinks can win the match. Because it seems to me that he's not really taking these as like exhibition matches, because as Balogun said, I'm paraphrasing, but he was asked is the manager taking a bit easy as it's a friendly? He was like, no, he's not at all. It's completely the opposite. He's taking these games extremely seriously. And you could also see, wasn't it, there was in the game where one of our players was up in the face of the goalkeeper, giving him a bit of a hard time and not allowing him to kick the ball out and that. And you're like, this is a friendly.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to put a team out that he believes can win. But I just hope that we do see a lot of substitutions similar to the MLS game, because as me and Gary said, we're looking for our players to get minutes.
Yep.
And that needs to be spread out amongst the team. It's when you get to, he should be using these friendlies to work his way towards that Charity Shield game, with that being the sort of like dress rehearsal with the first 11 and who's on the bench of how he wants to start the season. And using these games to sort of weigh up, look at players, maybe try a few things out with players doing different things before you get to that game.
Mm-hmm. When I looked at this, what he did last season, he had 11 changes in the corresponding MLS game against Orlando last year. Had 11 substitutions, so it pretty much changed out the whole team. He did that also on Wednesday, 11 changes. And last year when we came to play, I think it was Chelsea in the next fixture, there was 9 changes. So he's ramping down a little bit, but there will be a lot of changes still, And I think he's going to follow a similar pattern on Saturday, Rule said no Balogun starting. He is going for a win and putting down a marker. Yeah.
People will say, if that's the case, then why did you start Nketiah? So,
So, Gary, do you think Jesus will start up front?
No, I think, as I said, I think we should go close to a starting 11.
Yeah, that would be Jesus, right?
A pretty strong 11. Like, we didn't, Martinelli came off the bench, so Saka always plays, right? So I expect to see our front three the way it is, and Erdegaard came off the bench as well. So you expect to see them probably start this go around, and maybe even Kai Havertz start too. So you might see some kind of little switch around there, but yeah, I think it would be nice to see those 4 players playing together, especially against Manchester United. I mean, for us, like I said, the more those players play together, we'll see, the more comfortable they get back into that groove that they had.
I think if he's going to take an exhibition game against an MLS All-Star 11, he's not going to take his foot off the pedal and be any less intense against a team that's maybe one of our direct rivals, right? He wants to prove something.
Yeah. Do you think, Stan, will see Rice, Erdegaard, and Havertz in midfield?
Well, maybe you will, but I won't, because I'm starting work just about 15 minutes after kickoff on Saturday, so I'm not going to be able to see this one. So, but some of those that maybe didn't start in that last game, maybe Rice will start. Maybe, at the end of the day, it's not like Rice is coming from another league and learning a new language and all of that. He's played against Man United a lot of times, and he's had an opportunity now to train with us, to be integrated into a game. So why wouldn't you throw him in to start? Why not? Doesn't have to play the whole game, does he?
Yep. What about left back? Kivior seems to be settling in pretty nicely. Left back, Zinchenko's got a knock. Kieran Tierney's there. So what do you think we'll see a left back? Gary, what do you think?
I know. I was just gonna say, happy accident again.
You have news.
How many? Is it the last? This. If Zinchenko isn't ready to go, and Kivior works out and is panning out, be happy accident number 3.
Yeah,
because the last
you can't put Mikel Arteta's career down to happy accidents.
Is that a
They
lot?
all have to stop doing this to Mikel Arteta.
But they are. They when you get quality players, right? And they should be able to step in when you have, when you can't start the player you had intended to, right? And it's worked out the last 3 seasons, right?
I just see
Margulies was one
Zinchenko
season.
coming
You
in
had Ben White another season. You had
with his fish.
you had one more. You've had it's worked out pretty well. So this could be another case of that, and he's looked comfortable out there, Kivior. And as somebody said, we had 4 center backs in to start the game, a la City.
Yep.
So
I wonder if that's something that City. Pep adjusted to that because of the wingers were beating his fullbacks. So he put center backs in there. I wonder if Mikel Arteta has now seen what Pep did and he's starting to do the same thing with center backs in the back 4. It's another trend, is it, Stan?
But I was listening to something just the other day. I think I had Talk Sport on in the background. I was doing something in the kitchen and they were talking about that. And one of the guys on there was saying, he's not the first to do it. There was another team. I think it might have been
Bayern.
I can't remember who. I can't remember. No, it was a team. It was a team in England. He said such and such. He said a name, something like Steve Bruce used to do it, didn't he? Or Alan Pardew. I can't remember who he said, but he said this isn't a brand new thing. Such and such used to do all of the time. He used to put out 4 centre backs. So, but yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, when you say 4 centre backs, are you counting Ben White then?
Yep.
Yeah,
he's a center back.
I mean, he's a hybrid, right?
Doesn't really play centre back for us, has he? Since he's been with us.
No, but he's a center back, but a happy accident.
He's a little bit like John Stones. He can play center back, but he's comfortable in that right back position and going into midfield. John Stones does something similar to Ben White as well.
Because I've been a little surprised that Kivior's been deployed as a left back because I never knew him before he came in, but I thought that he was going to be someone that was going to be giving pressure to Gabriel Jesus, being a left-footed centre back. I thought he was cover, someone that could push in that place, but it seems that he's being used more as a left back.
Yeah, Kivior. We've persevered with Kivior. We saw him Nottingham Forest. Welcome, Spencer. Spencer Bronco and VA is here.
Spencer had a lot of fun in the game. Saw him chatting it up with all the YouTubers and Arsenal fans. I think he did he meet up? I forgot who he met up with, but I want to say one of the famous YouTubers he met up with. Was it Curtis? I think I don't remember.
Curtis Shaw.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's interesting with Kivior. You know what I mean? He had a terrible game against Nottingham Forest then at the end of the season, but seems to have redeemed himself.
I remember hearing that he was homesick or some shit, quite soon after he came. So I hope he settled down. But I mean, I think I do expect Kieran Tierney to leave because it seems like we have plenty of options at left back. We've got Zinchenko. He's quite happy to put Tomiyasu out there as well. Kivior is out there as well. So I actually think that Kieran Tierney is going to be leaving the club. He's probably another player that they've identified as we can get a few quid in for him to help cover some of that Declan money.
I think you turned your camera off when we were talking about this. Do you think it's a case of Arsenal holding firm on a valuation and a price, and if we get that for Kieran Tierney, then we can let him go? 35 million, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite recently. I was reading that. I think it was last week. I said, at the end of this week, he'll be sitting down with the manager and they're going to discuss what's going to be happening for next season. So, I mean, we're not privy to those conversations, but the last I was hearing was that he could be going back to Celtic and be even looking to take a wage drop. But who knows where these stories come from, if there's any truth of them. The other one was Newcastle for a while, wasn't it? That was one that was going around for a while.
Yep.
And then the other one was, which was being booted about, was Man City as well.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I do think that he will be going. And I'll, for one, maybe because it's the Scottish ancestry in me, but I am going to be disappointed to see him go because I like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard from Newcastle. I was listening to a show. Newcastle fan was talking about Tierney, and it looks like they've gone in a different direction. So I don't.
It may come back though, Barry. You know.
No, but they're like looking seriously at a different player. That's what I mean. So they may not be looking at Tierney. Like, I mean, you let a Tierney go, then you're gonna have to replace him, and do you need to do that? So if you're not gonna play him, then you definitely should sell him. But if you're not gonna play him, then he should have been sold already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like a player like that, you get that money in, then you have a longer part of the window to pick up another replacement. You know what I mean?
Maybe they think they don't need a replacement because they've got three players that can play in that position. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
We don't need to buy. We've still got to get rid of Tavares as well, which is another player in that position.
Yeah, I don't see those as options, so I don't feel like adding them to like maybe we'll play them kind of thing.
They're not.
You would just
Really?
where we are right now. You see, like for example, right now the way we need to be able to play is I need to be able to bring in a player who can like come in a whim, right? Now,
isn't that not Kivior?
Yes.
Yes, no, he'll be fine. But I thought
you said Kivior and Zinchenko, didn't we? So we've got two there.
Tavares.
To get rid of. To get rid of.
Yeah. Oh no, Tavares isn't even in the equation of like maybe he'll play for Arsenal someday. In my eyes.
But I think that we've got ample in that position. Do you know what I mean? Zinchenko and Kivior and Tomiyasu can go there. Are they going to? Do they really need to go and buy a left back or a left wing back?
I hear you. You know what I mean? I just don't like that. That was
doesn't seem immediate.
Yeah, that was the same talk with me when. Well, you know what? Ben White can play center back if need be. And we never. And then what happened is we lost both our right backs, and then we're in a bigger. I'd rather have, if we can, be able to switch our players around, but have the numbers to make up for it, right? So
we can't be in that situation again.
You know what I mean? So so for me, I don't mind if Ben White can come in and play center back, and you can rotate him with the other four center backs that we have, right? But like now we know Kiwior can rotate on the left, Ben White can rotate on the right. You've got I like to have that as the options that we have, as opposed to we're kind of short. In a pinch we can do it, but if our backup is out of form or injured, then you're in trouble. So
Kiwior could be quite valuable to us in the sense that he can rotate on that left back side, but he can also Gabriel Megalegs played a lot of games last season.
Yes.
And there's probably times that, next season there'll be more competitions that Kiwior could probably come in there as well.
Yep. Well, they played together, right? They played together.
That was Nice Must, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, I like having the numbers that we do.
To save Holding from himself.
Yeah. No.
We can't do that again. We can't have a Rob Holding. We can't have a player hanging out there because of a major injury. And exposing ourselves against Man City.
Yeah, the team is in a different position now. Like the Holdings and for me, even the El Nenis just aren't part of the, the future. Huh?
Oi.
Yeah, no. They're not. I mean, they I think we'll keep El Neni around, but I mean, I mean, he made the
We
trip,
are.
but he wasn't even on the bench, right?
Yeah, we're definitely
Elneny,
getting to that
like
point where
Elneny made the trip to the U.S., but he wasn't even on the bench. So for me, that's like telling as well, right? I know he's injured and all of that, and maybe he's not fit to even play, but
yeah,
um, it,
someone's got to be on hand to do the Nando's run.
the camera work and
Oh,
Right, go up to
you're right, the camera
Nando's,
work.
get us a
Emil
tuna melt.
Smith Rowe loves
Yeah,
himself
yeah.
a Nando
Yeah.
as well.
No, in the past, I was happy to have Elneny, but we've moved past that phase now.
Yeah.
We need to we need more more. We don't need as many passengers as we did in the past, and
Yeah, and
you know,
Tony's going to be upset as well because when we have quality in our team, we need less and less academy prospects coming through. And Rule's talking about Sosa. I don't even know if these kind of players are going to be able to make the breakthrough, but
Don't know
we're
that
going to
about
have players who will be worth money to us because we are doing well.
It does
in
seem
the
like
league.
ages though since we brought a defender through from the academy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It seems like I can't remember the last one. I thought it was Kieran Gibbs, but we didn't. He came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I don't know who. I can't remember the last defender we brought
Right.
through. Maybe
I'm
Ashley
sorry.
Cole. Ashley Cole probably.
Yeah. Spencer said, big takeaway. Versatile players. Arteta wants players who can play multiple positions.
Yeah,
And that's going to help him as well. And Kedia played the wing. Vieira Trossard, the number 8 position. We have an embarrassment of riches now in the team, and it just needs to be put together in the right way that we can sustain a title challenge and maybe a couple of cup challenges past April and May. That's the thing. They do not need to buy a left back and can wait till January to replace Tierney.
why do you? I mean, I don't get the reason to wait until January to get a replacement.
Yeah, I mean, if
Just get one now. Now you have an
Tierney,
extra. month.
Tierney will want to move as well, Gary. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it'll be amicable on both sides as well, provided the price is right. More quality than not quantity. BX gonna said.
Yeah.
We'll go for a few more minutes here. Big sentiment I got from Robbie, Troops, and Judges that Nketiah or Balogun will leave. One of the two will leave. Okay. Bellerin. I thought we established Bellerin had moved on. I think there is a world we can keep both. Yeah, listen, that's that striker position between Eddie Nketiah and Balogun. I like Balogun. I would like him to stay, but I fear he's missed the boat in terms of his development and our development. It just hasn't happened at the right time. We were lucky with Declan Rice, Gary, that
I hear you, but he's trending upwards, and I like to ride some.
no, but like if this was a couple of years ago where Rice was ready to leave, it would have been with Chelsea 2 years ago. We're in the position now where we're an attractive club, and Declan Rice is a gooner. You know what I mean? Balogun, you're talking about Balogun trending upwards?
Yep.
Yeah. So, as Stan said, may be a business decision, Gary. This may be
if we're not gonna play him, then he has to go. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of players that we have on the squad, I'm like, why are you here? You don't want to play him, and when you do, you realize why you didn't want to play him in the first place. So, and in Balogun's case, it's because he's young. But if they want us to, if it's about money, then they have a valuation sometimes. The valuation that for me that they definitely can't mess up is the Balogun one, because that one will come back to haunt them if they go really cheap on him and he pans out the way many people expect.
Yep. We want to feel like we're getting a decent amount of cash, that even if he does prosper somewhere, we're going to feel kind of okay about it, because we can tell ourselves, well, we balanced the books a little bit. Gary, possible Tierney replacement was already purchased in Kivior and Zinchenko.
Oh, no, you said January, so I thought you meant the January coming up. So
yeah. I think Arteta feels comfortable with left back and have more options. Even Tomiyasu played ahead of Tierney. Stan, it's looking like Kieran, his days might be numbered. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we just had that conversation. Yeah, I think
I know.
He's definitely definitely going to be leaving the club, and it's a shame. I like him. I think he's a useful character.
Yep.
But the manager's obviously got. I think the manager feels that we've just maybe outgrown him in the way that we're playing now.
So for me, I'd like if Newcastle was an option, and hopefully there's still options out there for him, because they're gonna want. They have their evaluation of their players. So if they're if they're planning to sell them, sometimes you need to get that name out there, and maybe they are working on selling him, but you really don't want it to fall out that we don't sell them because we don't meet the valuation, because the options aren't there, right? The options in terms of teams that want to pay, bring him in, because Celtic may not want to pay like what we bought him for 25 mil, right? He's worth more than that now,
Yes.
right? So is Celtic going to want to spend more than they sold a player to us for? Isn't it right? So more than likely they're going to
a good player. They're going to get a good player, a better player that left them than I left them as well. And I think one of their players went to the Saudi League as well, so they probably got a decent amount of change for. I think it was Jota went to. There was a Jota at Celtic. Lawrence said, "Good evening from Los Angeles. 6 days till we play Barca at SoFi. Can't wait to watch our new signings in person. Got my ticket, buzzing. Enjoy that, Lawrence. Good evening, everyone. Kindly, smash the likes. Listen, anything else you want to touch on before we go, Stan?
Not really. I think that really covers it. I'm looking forward to the rest of the window now in a relaxed manner, because it's going to be good to see if we can raise some more money, get rid of the players that are on the fringes, and I've still got a feeling that our business isn't done. I think definitely another one is going to be coming in, and depending on the money that we can bring in, maybe two.
Would you like to see it done by 2 weeks on Sunday before the Community Shield that we started at the podcast with?
I think it's going to take maybe a little bit longer to shift some players on. Some players will maybe leave us late on in the window, when other clubs they're dominoes for when they get money in and moves start to happen. But it's good to see that we've got a majority of our work done early in some good positions. I mean, personally, one of the rumours that I keep hearing about, and it's been there for a while and it's just come back again, Ferran Torres from Barcelona. Because they're looking to free up funds there, aren't they? And that's one that that even Barcelona are saying that they could move on. I'd love to get him on loan with an option to buy.
That is one that you would like to see.
Yeah. He's very versatile, isn't he? Can play on either wing or through the middle as well. Could be a good backup or competition for someone like Saka or Martinelli.
Yeah, well, I mean, he could definitely start for us. So
yeah, I like him a lot.
So I mean, it would just
only
cost
young,
a lot.
23. Is he 23?
It would just cost a lot of money. I mean, I think it's would you be bringing in 165, and then I think if I recall, he's in that definitely 60 mil range again.
High up there, yeah.
So I would think that might be a little bit. You might be definitely we sell some players, but it seems a little steep, especially when you're like talking about like you could have gotten a Moussa Diaby for 2/3 of that. So
Spencer thinks the next move has deadline day written all over it. So I'd like to get the player in before the start of the season that's incoming, and then we can worry about outgoings. The likes of Rob Holding and players, Cedric.
No, but the outgoings. I think the outgoings that you're talking about, though, or at least Stan's talking about, I think, are the ones where you're actually going to bring in some money, like the ones where you're going to write them off. Like the Pepes and the Holdings, for example. Those you're not expected to bring in a lot of money for them. But like the Partey and the Balogun and Tierney, you're going to bring in a lot of money for them. So you want to get those. For me, I think you want to get those done sooner than later, so you can bring in a bigger, more quality player. Like you could bring in a Flavia if you sold those three players, right?
Yeah, maybe a Patino.
Yeah, and then if you do lose, and if you do lose Partey, maybe in January, you might be set. You know what I mean? But
I mean the news now, Stan, is maybe Thomas Partey may stay. that move may not materialize. So
Is that just that, you know, what they're saying to attract more attention? You know, if you make it open that you're happy for a player to go, maybe you don't get a better deal. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be the case. Listen, we'll leave it there. Stan, good luck. You're working on Saturday, right? You have a game, a Whitecaps game, is there?
No, BC Lions, I think it is on Saturday,
BC
and
Lions, okay.
Whitecaps on Sunday.
All right. Thanks for joining, Stan. And Gary, I'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining as well, Gary. And Tony, what happened to you?
What happened to him?
He must have got an important phone call. You know what I mean? Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you on Sunday. Take care, everybody.
All right,
Thank you,
see you
Stan.
guys.
Thank you, Gary. Cheers.
Thank you.
Come on, you Gooners. Let's get that win on Saturday, right?
Yes, sir.